Good morning. Welcome to the second hour of LoveBabz, LoveTalk. The wheels do indeed keep turning because I got St. Martin de Porres School in the house. Good morning, y'all. Y'all have
Morning.
to
Thank you for
unmute
having us.
yourselves. Oh, this is my pleasure. I'm so glad that y'all could come back. So Cynthia, unmute yourself. Linda, unmute yourself so we can have a good conversation about St. Martin de Porres Academy. And it is so nice to see y'all. So you just have to hit the microphone button.
Got it.
There you go.
Technologically disadvantaged,
Oh, listen, I've been doing this so much. I do this in my sleep now, this format. So how are you all?
Doing well. You look well.
Oh, thank you. I feel pretty good. I'm glad the weather is finally warm. Like I'm glad it's above 50. Yeah. Finally. All right, so tell me about St. Martin de Porres. I have been to the school. I was Wendy Clark had me come, I think a few years back to speak to some kids out there, and it was such a wonderful experience. I enjoyed those kids. They were so bright and precocious, and they had a lot to say, and it was a wonderful program. And so it's nice to see y'all still thriving and moving ahead and doing all the things that you do. So tell me a little bit about Dr. Kelly. Tell me Dr. Kelly O'Leary. Tell me a little bit about St. Martin de Porres and what kind of education can we expect?
Sure. So St. Martin's is essentially a middle school. We have grades 5 through 8 in our building. And so this is the building pictured behind me. I was standing right in the middle of Columbus Avenue, smelling some flowers, which if you've been on Columbus Avenue, it's not not a lot of time to stop and smell the flowers on the street. But so we're a middle school. So grades 5 through 8, we accept students in grades 5 and 6 only. And every kid that comes to St. Martin's is a student of need, meaning that they qualify for free or reduced lunch in the public school system. And then we provide a full scholarship to every student, which is valued at $17,000 a year over their, they start in 6th grade, 3 years, or 4 years if they start in 5th grade. Okay. And then we make, as part of our school, we make this 12-year commitment. So we support kids through high school and college. Obviously, we don't have a high school in our building, but we have partnerships with lots of area high schools. And so this idea of choice is really important that we feel for our students, and then support kids in terms of choosing a high school fit for them. And sometimes that's a public school, sometimes that's a private school, and then working to make scholarship dollars with our high school partners, that it's a financially viable option. So that's part of our commitment. We don't stop there. Then our graduate support program continues to support students in what's called evening study from 2:30 to 6 after school for extra help, support, safe place to be. Whether you're struggling academically or you're taking like 4 AP classes. So we have like both, students in terms of needing support. And then we do lots of college tours and support with applications and the FAFSA and scholarships. And we support kids through college as well. So lots of care packages and visits on campuses. And, and now we have, we have 3 of our graduates have already gotten their master's degrees. We already have, 6 others that are currently enrolled in master's programs. So we have this, so we say like our 12-year commitment, but we have this like college plus group. So you don't really, so now we're into like the wedding season of things as well. So so that's our, very much we're in terms of this family of, and this journey, we journeyed together for 12 plus years. And I've known like Miss Pina for, almost 14 years at this point. So in terms of her journey with her 2 boys and Sarah, her
So Linda, are you a parent of kids at the school currently?
No, my students have graduated already from St. Martin's.
Oh, okay. So talk a little bit about what that was like.
Well, we'll start with the first one. My older one graduated from college, matter of fact, in 2019. So the
Yay.
experience kind of started with St. Martin's, of course, because of all the support. The support is tremendous there. So, and once you get into St. Martin's, their aim is college. You get that from day one. You already know you're going to college. So it's just a process from there. And even with my younger one, he's in the 10th grade now. So he went through St. Martin's as well. And the experience is wonderful. They're there to support you in any way possible.
Okay, that sounds good. So Cynthia, what's your relationship to St. Martin de Porres?
Well, so it turns out that my great-grandchildren,
Great-grandchildren?
yes,
I
ma'am.
don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Well, two, yeah. Well, they're currently 12 and 14. The 14-year-old is getting ready to graduate from 8th grade. She had some struggles early on, and she has really blossomed being at St. Martin's. I won't mention the other schools that they were in, but, you know, the support there was good. This is fantastic. And the encouragement, the community, the determination to make sure that the children understand what their goals are and what they want to do in life, and trying to help them reach those goals. The thing that I also love about St. Martin's is that the going out of the classroom and into the community, going into the farm situation or going on whale watches. I mean, they do other things besides just sit in the classroom. And even though this past year has been difficult for all kids with the pandemic, they've all been able to apparently, I'm saying apparently because you don't always know what's going on in a kid's head, but they seem to be well adjusted. And they seem to have taken on the role of, okay, I got to do a Zoom thing, and doing it fairly well. I mean, there have been a couple of dips here and there, I'm sure, but basically these kids have excelled. And the little one, the 12-year-old, she's mostly done A work. The middle one had some issues at first, and she has pulled herself up. And that is with the support of everybody in this school. And it's a blessing. It's an incredible blessing. And who could beat a $17,000 a year scholarship?
I don't know how you can do that. So,
Right.
So how do kids get to your school? Like, what's the process?
So basically, the first step are a rising 5th grader or 6th grader. So it means they're currently in 4th or 5th grade. Family comes and gets an application, drops off an application. We have applications available. We have flyers all over the city. And then, you know, go through and determine, we have that income cap, so determine eligibility. And then we go through the interview process. And so I think the most important piece of the interview process is about having families truly understand our partnership. And I don't know if you can fully get it in that interview piece, but try to have that experience of what the school is like, because when you walk in, it feels different. How we operate is different. And so in terms of, you know, having this is a school, like, for example, like all the kids, like, they have my cell phone number. Why? Because that's important for kids if they need to, parents have my cell phone number. And so that's just how we operate in terms of communication. We don't have, a huge bureaucracy. There is, I'm the principal and we have a president, Allison Rivera, and we're the administrative team. It's us. And so the same faces you see, opening the school in the morning and greeting kids are the same faces that if you have a question or a concern or a problem, it's us. And so we can kind of have those conversations because we're, become, very similar to family in terms of we can have those conversations and recognize that most things are not the end of the world. We're going to talk about this with your kid, but I'm letting you know, this is not the end of the world, and, kind of moving forward. So that's that interview process. And then we try to build a class as diversely as possible. So we want students that are, academically on point, ready to go. We want students that are not academically on point, because actually both need each other. We need to learn from people who are different from us. We want students who have maybe struggled in other classroom environments, because we can typically serve those students really well, because it's not just, this idea of compliance, sit in a desk, what it is. It's like so much more. Education is so much more in terms of that experience.
Is it a uniform school? Like,
yes,
you have to wear uniforms?
Yeah.
And are y'all part of the Catholic diocese?
No, so we have a uniform, yes. And so the reason we have a uniform I think for two reasons. The first, like, kids have almost zero control over their lives. Like, they don't have control of when somebody's picking them up or dropping them off. But they can control, is their shirt tucked in? Do they have their, like, these like little things? Am I wearing a belt? And not that I believe that obviously kids can learn without wearing a belt. However, it is what they can control. And it works on this notion of just really, planning. So if a kid forgets their belt, my first question for them during our uniform checks, which is obviously a very formal big deal where we see everyone every day, I noticed you don't have a belt. Is this a problem that you can solve on your own, or do you need my help? And so that pause of that planning and thinking, like, oh, okay. And kids can say, no, I need your help, or I'm staying somewhere else and I don't have any idea where the belt is. Okay, so would you like to borrow one for the day? And so this idea, we always have, some of us have bad days, right? Well, as adults, we have bad days. And this I gotcha is like, no, like, let's like problem solve. We are independent, to your second question, we are independent of the Catholic Church and the diocese, although we are recognized as a Catholic school. So we do religion.
Okay.
So we definitely talk about God, we talk about Jesus, we do that. However, we do not prepare kids for sacraments or anything like that. So
okay.
We religion as a vehicle for really discussing really important pieces that, whatever, that there's something bigger in this world that intended for you to exist. We call God, some people call it source, some people call it, it doesn't matter what you call that source, but this idea of unconditional love, and you are loved, you are loved, you are loved. And that's our piece.
I feel like I want to enroll, and I'm way past the age of anybody's classroom, but it sounds like a wonderful place. How many students do you currently have?
This year, we currently have on any given year 65 middle schools. So the idea is to keep it small. So I always put teachers in every classroom. Some classrooms have 3 teachers, but this idea of embedding that support, that we can be a place where you get what you need. So classes are anywhere from 15 to 20 kids, and that's it. But every classroom has 2 adults in there.
So Linda, when your children were there, what was it about it that made you say, I'm going to take my kids out of this school and put them in this school?
Well, it was, I want to say, the help, and not downing any other school. There was so much support with St. Martin's. You got the help during class, you got help after school, and you also got your, what do I want to say, your recreation. So all of that was tied into your school day. I didn't have to go one place for this, another place for that. St. Martin's was all inclusive with homework and recreation, and the learning process was just phenomenal.
Sounds good. And so Cynthia, have you had opportunity to talk with other parents? Is there like other parent, like, is there a parent group where parents can come together and, like, I don't know, like a PTA or a PTO or whatever? I don't know what they call it these days. See, I'm dating myself, but a parent, where parents can network and be with each other and talk about what's happening, and maybe work with the school on things.
Yeah, well, the thing is this: when you start bringing your children, grandchildren, or great grandkids to school, you you end up getting yeah, I got a call through. You end up getting you meet the same people every single day. So the parents who are there, for instance, there are Hispanic parents who I speak Spanish, so I got an opportunity to speak Spanish because I'm no longer working, so I don't have to use it. But you see the same people. A lot of the moms and grandparents who are bringing their kids, you get to spend time with, and you talk about various and sundry things. So, again, the camaraderie, the community support, the feel that this place does indeed care about the kids. And again, it's not denigrating any other school that the kids were in. However, I think the difference here is all inclusive, just as Linda said, and Dr. O'Leary, that you get it's a composite of everything that a kid could possibly need, including if they're having difficulties with home life and they're depressed, or they have perhaps some other idea of how they don't want to spend their lives living anymore. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in a kid's life that we don't know. And you could talk to them and say, how are you? And I'm fine, but they're not. So a parent or a teacher, rather, who sees a kid every day, and I didn't see my great grandkids every single day. They did live with me for a while. But if you don't see them every single day, you do get an opportunity, though, for the teachers to clue in and say, hey, Sin or Miss Texera, this is what I think is going on. And I can give them some information that might be helpful to keep the kid on track. So I just love the idea that the parents are involved. I love the idea that the teachers and of course, Ms. Rivera and Dr. O'Leary are totally committed to making sure that these children move in a direction that's giving them full life ahead, full steam ahead. It's a wonderful thing.
Wow. So, Dr. O'Leary, talk a little bit about the academic piece and how do you all stack up against other schools? Like, are children on reading grade level? How are you doing test-wise and all the things that people would be parents would be concerned about for an educational experience for their kids?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So in terms of testing, we do have some standardized testing. We are not a test-focused school in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, I love hearing that.
I don't feel that standardized tests do a great job of measuring what they're supposed to measure. Actually, my doctoral research was about standardized testing. So in terms of that's part of philosophy, but we do have this as one data point. And so our students, do well. The tests we take, the NWEA MAP is a measure of academic progress. I like it because it's about skills and growth, and kids get their results right that after they finish. So they take one test and they see, and then they can have a conversation with me or a teacher or anybody about, okay, did I grow? Did I meet my goal? Ooh, I want to work on this. And so in terms of being on track, I guess the most important piece about our measure, and I think I'll have to look to our graduates to kind of give a fuller picture. 100% of our current freshmen were accepted into private high schools on full scholarship. 100%.
Wow.
So that's an important piece. 60% of our class of 2021. So all kids are called by the year they graduate from college. Our class of 2021, our current college seniors who are 60% graduated from college in 4 years. Wow. Now, the national average, and this is according to, College for America, national average for students in terms of our income bracket is 11% in 6 years. So when we're talking about 60% in 4 years, because college is expensive. And
yes, and I wish I could have fit my four. They came to the parochial system. They went to another parochial school in the city. But I tell you, if y'all were there, they would have been there.
So that piece, because in college, how many times that an advisor's asleep at the wheel and I have to do another semester. Another semester is a deal breaker for some families. Yes. I don't have another $6,000 to dish out. I don't have another to live. It doesn't work that way. And so really making sure that in terms of that safety net and that, providing that support, sometimes and kid, you go to advisors. It happened to me in graduate school. I'm like, how did this happen? I did everything I was supposed to do. But if you don't have somebody who is advocating on your behalf, asking the questions, you don't know what you don't know, asking those questions in terms of that support, and then really, working with families and students, because college, college loans when you graduate, absolutely debilitating.
Listen, that's the number one thing that is crippling graduates, that they're coming out of college with this ridiculous amount of debt, to start their lives. I mean, when I went to college 30 some odd years ago, I mean, what these kids pay now, I don't think I would have been able to go if I had to go now, because it's so expensive.
but there are schools that do better about meeting need. And so when we have those financial packages on the table and really discussing with families and kids about, okay, this offers this opportunity, this offers this opportunity. But this idea, getting rid of the myth that there's one magic school and one perfect, that it doesn't work that way. Like there are many good fits. And so finding, in terms of these good options, making the best choice for you. And I think the same way is for high school as well. There are many good options, and so this idea of many, many choices, like we want to provide opportunities and choices. And that's, I think, the biggest piece, that goal. And then that support of going through, because we know, like education is not colorblind. It is not. And so in terms of, we want to make sure, that we are supporting kids, in places that may not love them the same way we love them. And that's important. And so we're like, no, these are our kids. These are our babies. These are our children, that we are entrusting to these other academic institutions. And so we're part of that journey with families.
So talk to me a little bit about, I'm hearing a lot about disciplinary stuff at schools, and schools are struggling with how to discipline, how to curb violence, and all these kinds of things that kids are up against. Talk a little bit about what y'all do over there with when issues arise, kids can't get along, kids come with struggles and angst and just real trouble.
Oh, absolutely. So I think that speaks to our holistic model. So we are truly a holistic school in terms of, so classroom academics is important, but every kid has to play an instrument. And some kids play 2 and 3 instruments. And so that might be their hook. Some kids, arts are really important, drama or painting or cooking, like those arts are really important. Some kids, sports, really important. And then providing these experiences. So like going to Cape Cod on a whale watch, going to sleep and work at a dairy farm in Vermont, going to different cities like Philadelphia, New York, and Boston, and having those, that wealth of experience. So that's part of the piece. And I think, in terms of discipline, I'm not a punisher. Punishment doesn't, I don't think, I don't have my own children, but in terms of punishment, I don't think punishment works. I don't think that's an appropriate piece. I believe, strongly that kids do well if they can. And this comes from Ross Green. This is his mantra, and he's a child psychologist. Kids do well if they can. And if they're not doing well, something is getting in the way. And so instead of asking, we need to ask the right questions, adults, because we have the capacity to help with problem solving and support versus, help me understand what's going on versus why'd you do that? And to think that an adolescent without a fully developed brain is going to be able to tell you why cognitively they can't. No, I felt this way, right? I was doing this because, and in middle school, gosh, hormones and feelings and issues with other students, like, you want them to do math and they just had it out with somebody outside who ilked them or talked about their like something happened, like they're not going to do math until that's addressed. Like, so we do a lot of talking. And I think some kids are like, can't I just get in trouble? Like, please, I don't want to talk anymore about it. Like, can I just get in trouble? And I'm like, what does that mean? But this idea of like, why would you take, like, we don't take away these experiences. Why would you take them away from kids? I want them to go to the farm. I want them to go on field trips. I want them to have recess. They need to be outside. I want them to play. I want them to do these things. Why? Because they didn't do this or this? Well, help me understand what got in the way of that. And let's problem solve. Like, let's really problem solve and teach that skill, because that's what it is, right? What do I do if I'm stuck? What do I do if I don't know, what's next? What do I do if I'm really upset? Right? So this idea that you don't help kids to learn or behave better by making them feel worse. No person has ever, like, who feels bad, like, you don't do that. Like, that's like crazy making. So like in a family, like at home, like in terms of, natural consequences. If those consequences aren't working, they don't need more natural consequences. Something else is in the way. So let's talk about that. So that's our approach. Lots of conversation and lots of, kind of digging deep. And I have, social workers, I have 2 social workers, and their whole role is to help kids have a better day. And so they are in classrooms. And that's where sometimes we go from 2 adults to even 4 adults sometimes in classrooms, like help kids have a better day. And if we know somebody is having a bad day, what can we do to help it so that they can have a better day? And so these things are not like, there's no magic. It is just like anybody with eyes and ears can see. Like, this is just like purely eyes and ears at the baseline in terms of support. And then like conversation, like I don't expect Miss Texera or Miss Pina, they're not in this classroom sitting next to their, great-grandchildren or the children. They're not sitting. I can't tell them, I need you to fix this. Like, how? What are you going to do? Like, you can't make a kid do this. I can tell you, okay, this is what happened. This is how we talked about it. This is the language we use. I think it's important for you to know about it. But unless you're going to be, we have a 10-hour school day. You're going to be in school for 10 hours with me and your kid in 7th grade or 6th grade again. Like, that's like unreasonable. So in terms of that support. And so if a kid's still having, problems, okay, well, what else don't we know about? What is getting in the way, in terms of that kid being successful? And gosh, there are so many resources out there. Let's find one. let's find one.
That's a good point.
So that approach, and that can be, for new parents, that can feel like really good, or that can be jarring. They're like, oh my gosh, Dr. O'Leary is texting me again. And I'm like, it's not a bad deal. I just want to let you know that this, it's not like terrible, but in terms of that level of communication sometimes can be jarring. I know Spino's like, oh boy, every time. And I'm like, no, it's not like the end of the world, but we got to talk about it. So in terms of, yeah, if we know something, of course we're going to share it.
And so as parents, grandparents, great grandparents, so that experience, how does that make you feel? Or it must have made you feel really good to have that kind of level of support, so that you didn't feel like your kid was falling through the cracks or something was happening and you weren't aware. Talk a little bit about what she just said.
Well, I can say from my perspective as a great grandparent, and great is in quotes because I believe that, but my grandkids have had some struggles. They weren't super stable, living in a stable environment. They were moving a lot, and being here was settling. I mean, they were in one settled place. So I think it was important to know that other kids probably are going through something similar. Maybe there's other issues going on in the household. There could be abuse issues. There could be, any kind of issue that affects the child adversely. So I think from my own perspective, where these kids are, made a difference for them. I mean, I think they were okay basically, but I think having the support of the teachers, not afraid to put their arms around a kid, because in this day and age, you can't touch a kid affectionately unless it's an issue. And that has not been an issue. I mean, they come to school, each and every single kid gets a hug. And going back 1,000 years when my own kids were little, they went to St. Anthony's and they got hugs back then from the nuns. Today, you can't do that with most kids. So coming to St. Martin's, the kids are getting, it's affirmative, it's saying you matter and you are important and I love you and I want the best for you. When you get a call from Dr. O'Leary or Mrs. Moore, I go, oh, what's going on? And, oh, it's not that bad, but, so, I mean, but it's addressed immediately. It's not put on the back burner till let's see what tomorrow brings, which also makes it important because you can address it immediately. Say, all right, honey, what's going on? What happened? Well, he said, she said, well, you can't go through those changes. He said this, and what are you supposed to do when somebody says something that's not true about you? So you work on it in a number of different ways. As a mediator in the courts for 35 years, I looked at things differently maybe than some other parent might. But with Dr. O'Leary and her staff and her teachers caring for these kids, it gives them that lift that they need to know that they are important and that they do matter. So I think for me, I just adore the school and I want more kids to come, and I'm trying to see if we can help get some kids out there.
And how do you do that? Like, how do people find you? Do you have a website that you can put out there so
Yeah.
people can, look you up and
Mhm.
all of that? What is the website?
Yeah, so the website is stmartinacademy.org. And so it's actually the ST period was that domain was already bought. So we had to do SAINT. So we spelled it out. So it's stmartinacademy.org. And so, yeah, we're on Columbus Avenue. So if you Google St. Martin Columbus Ave, will come up.
Yes. So there you
Yes.
go. Look,
There it
you
is.
are.
Yeah.
Look at
There
these
it
beautiful
is. Yeah.
children.
Yeah. So these are current 7th graders right now. So
So are y'all fundraising? Like how are you able to scholarship all these children?
yeah, so we fundraised our entire operating budget of about
Whoa.
$1.8 million. So we're a nonprofit that happens to run a school. Other than like Yale's also a nonprofit, but not like, like so. So yes, we're a nonprofit, yeah. So the vast majority of our donations come from individuals who write checks of support, who kind of just come to the school. People who just come to the school and experience. I was like, don't listen. Me, talk to our parents, talk to our kids, talk to our graduates. Like, talk to them. Like, they can, in terms of this mission of the school about education and opportunity. So individuals and small foundations get very little support from corporations or anything like that, because we are faith-based, and so that is something important to us. And so I think we could open up more avenues of revenue streams, but this important piece of like grounding kids in unconditional love and support is something that's so important. And so we call it God, and that's kind of who we are. And then providing that support through high school and into college. So that's how it works.
Okay. Okay. And so what is your academic school year? Just like the rest of the New Haven public school system, or you have your own time frame?
So we go longer because we have a lot of enrichment activities that happen at the end of the year, and it's about engagement. Yeah. So in terms of helping kids to still be in community and engaged, definitely kids have gone to different summer camp programs that we have access to and support, and so survival camp or Camp Hazen or Camp Jewel and other YMCA camps in terms of support. Some students join Pathfinder and do that program, or sports camp. So we kind of work in terms of the summer, but there is nothing that is more valuable in a hot building in a classroom in July than go to camp.
Yes.
Paddle a canoe, like sleep in a cabin. Like, that is so much more valuable than any math that could happen for 45 minutes in a building in the heat of the summer. Like, absolutely not. Like, so this idea of that's not actually the learning in the brain. We need to have these experiences. That's how, in terms of like, we need to like have some joy. Otherwise it doesn't go into our long-term memory the same way. We have to attach some joy. We have to attach some positive emotion, right? Otherwise we become really like scarred individuals as adults, like, oh no, I don't do that, I don't want to, and I think for some family members who have gone to Catholic schools, and like, we're not the Catholic school you grew up in. We're not even close. Like, that is like a little jarring of like, ooh, I don't want that. That was not a really supportive place. So I think that name like scares people. Oh no, that's not for you. No. That was awful for me. So undoing some of that trauma of parents having had really horrible experiences in schools, and I think also some students having some really horrible experiences in previous schools of just not, undoing that piece of like, nobody asked, help me understand, or are you okay? I'm confused by what I'm seeing. And so as individuals, we're really rational creatures. This behavior that doesn't make sense, we don't have all the information. Something else is going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well,
Miss Pina, you want to jump in? I don't know. Sorry, I've been talking way too much.
No, that's fine. We've got about 2 minutes
Oh, sorry.
to wrap up, and I wanted to make sure that the website got out there so that people know where to find you. Is there any closing thing you would like to say, Linda and Cynthia?
Well, sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, Cynthia.
No.
Okay, on my part, like Dr. O'Leary was saying, sometimes parents are apprehensive just because they hear that it's a Catholic school. If we could get it out there that, like she said, this is not like the old Catholic school, and the education you're going to get there and the assistance you're going to get there for your child's future is so well worth it. It's so well worth it.
Absolutely. And with the fact that it seems like we can't even find kids going into the 5th and 6th grades now, I don't know where all the children are, but Babz, I would say to you and your audience, if they know anybody that's even remotely interested in finding out what this school is all about and what it offers, please, please, please have them go. I would hate for any kid who has the ability or any family to miss an opportunity like this if they're eligible to miss it. So, thanks.
That's a good statement. That is a very good statement. And people are watching and they are listening, and this will live in the digital space for a good while. So, seen by more people. And so this is good that you guys get to come on and talk about this ain't your grandparents and your parents parochial school. This is a new way of doing things, and with rooted in unconditional love. So I think that's pretty profound. So I appreciate y'all coming on to talk about this. I think it'll make a huge difference, and I hope that you come back and keep coming back and letting me know what's happening with your school and with the students. Maybe have a student come on, or something next time, just to talk, or a student that has graduated and can talk a little bit better about, what this education has been. A 5th grader is just gonna be like, what? But if you have graduate students who can talk about their experience, that would be good. But thank you all so much for coming on.
And our pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Be well, Babz.
Yes, and I hope to see y'all soon, and I hope I get invited back to the school.
Yeah, we're here. We're 5 days a week in person still. Since the beginning of the year, we're here.
Well, thank you so much, and y'all have a good day, and enjoy some of this good weather for now.
You too, dear.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Nice to see you. All right.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Harry.
Bye.
Hi, this is Babz Rawls-Ivy from New Haven, Connecticut, and you're listening to WNHHLP 103.5 FM, streaming live at newhavenindependent.org. Oops.